Hello and welcome. You're with us here in Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the day's top stories. The first Made in India chip by December 24. Micron Tech to set up its plant in Gujarat's Sanand after the Prime Minister's visit to the US to create 5,000 direct jobs and 500 new high-end engineering jobs. Creditors extend a fresh lifeline to Go First, approve 450 crore rupee funding to revive the airline. BTTV tells you when the budget carrier could fly again and whether its return will cool heated airfares. Sensex and Nifty end flat. Early buying fizzles out in the latter half of trade. Index heavyweights Reliance, HDFC Bank and TCS offset gains in the auto and FMCG sectors. First big signs from the RBI governor on when interest rates will fall. Says looking at squeezing inflation to 4%, adds global uncertainties and El Nino remain a challenge. Also refutes fears of 2,000 rupee note withdrawal impacting the Indian economy. The $2.75 billion Micron Tech plant will produce its first semiconductor chip in 18 months. The plant, announced during the recent visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the US, will be situated in Gujarat's Sanand industrial area. Meanwhile, the IT, Electronics and Telecom Minister Ashwini Vaishnav also made it clear that the Vedanta Foxconn JV will have to apply for a chip-making license again.
Micron करीब 6 क्वार्टर्स यानी 1.5 वर्ष में प्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट कर देगा. ये भी रिकॉर्ड टाइम बनेगा. रिकॉर्ड टाइम में प्रोडक्शन होगा. किसी भी देश में नई इंडस्ट्री स्थापित करना, नई इंडस्ट्री, नई फैक्ट्री स्थापित करना और उसमें पहला प्रोडक्शन 1.5 वर्ष के अंदर अंदर आना. तो दिसंबर 2024 का टारगेट लेके चल रहे हैं, जिसमें पहली मेड इन इंडिया चिप, सेमीकंडक्टर चिप बन के निकलेगी. दूसरा आपका प्रश्न वेदांता से रिलेटेड है. वेदांता फॉक्सकॉन का जो प्रपोजल है, आपने देखा कि जैसे जैसे इंडस्ट्री की फीडबैक मिली, उसके फीडबैक के हिसाब से सेमीकंडक्टर प्रोग्राम को मॉडिफाई किया गया. तो मॉडिफिकेशन के हिसाब से जो भी एग्जिस्टिंग एप्लीकेंट्स थे, उन सबको ऑप्शन है कि वो मॉडिफिकेशन के हिसाब से अपनी एप्लीकेशन को रीसबमिट करें. तो जब वो रीसबमिट करेंगे, उस हिसाब तब उनका इवैल्यूएशन होगा. तीसरा शहर कौन सा है? सानंद शहर है, जिसमें माइक्रॉन के सामने बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस थे. उन सब ऑप्शंस में से उन्होंने सानंद को चूज किया है. वहां पे वो लोग प्लांट लगाएंगे. वहां हर तरह की इंडस्ट्रियल फैसिलिटीज है. वाटर सप्लाई इसमें बहुत अल्ट्रा प्योर चाहिए. पावर सप्लाई एकदम स्टेबल चाहिए, अल्ट्रा स्टेबल चाहिए. वो सब चीजें सारी फैसिलिटीज वहां पर है.
Chances of Go First taking to the skies again are getting brighter by the day. The budget airline, which had filed for bankruptcy last month, has secured lenders' approval for an interim funding of 450 crore rupees. This amount could allow Go First to take wings again. How soon could this happen? Let's hear from BTTV's Karishma Sudani. Karishma, what's the plan of action for the airline? What are the compliance modalities with regulators that Go First will have to abide by in order to resume operations?
Well, major relief for cash-strapped Go First, and this comes almost after 2 months since they filed their voluntary insolvency plan with NCLT Delhi. In fact, what is coming up is that the lenders or the Committee of Creditors of Go First has approved interim funding plan of rupees 400 crore, and this has been also because of the new RP who's taken in charge. Now, the process, of course, lies with the DGCA, where the RP will present their resolution plan, and this plan of action will have to be approved by DGCA before it, of course, goes to the bank boards in order to approve this interim funding. Two big challenges ahead is one, with their low fleet and, of course, less staff, it's going to be a challenge for them to get back into action soon. Go First is planning to resume its flights from July. They plan to start 78 flights per day, and they have about 22 aircrafts currently.
Thanks, Karishma. You can save 15 to 20 minutes of your time when boarding a flight from Delhi Airport. Delhi Airport has for the first time in India introduced a self-dropping facility for baggage at T3. This facility allows passengers to check in their own baggage without the help of airport staff and importantly without standing in long check-in lines. For travellers, a self-baggage drop facility involves a two-step process. First, passengers can generate their boarding passes and baggage tags at the self-check-in kiosk. Then, after tagging their check-in baggage, passengers can load their baggage onto the designated belt. Currently, passengers travelling in Indigo can use the facility. 5 other airlines, including Air India, Vistara, Air France, KLM and British Airways, are expected to allow usage of self-baggage drop for their passengers soon. Equity markets settled with mixed results in a highly volatile trading session. Losses in state-owned lenders and energy stocks countered gains in consumer and pharma shares. The Sensex closed just a touch below 63,000 and the Nifty was just a touch higher. Top gainers today Cipla, Adani Enterprise, Hero MotoCorp, Tata Consumer and UPL. On the downside, Reliance, TCS, NTPC and Coal India. Let's take a look at what else is making news on the Lal Street. ICICI Securities jumped as much as 15% in trade today to hit a 52-week high. The company had unveiled plans to delist from the stock exchange, likely by swapping its shares with those of parent ICICI Bank. The board will meet this Thursday to formalize the plan. ICICI Securities shares ended up 10.5% today. Shares of Shree Cement tanked over 10% on reports of an alleged evasion of 23,000 crore rupees in taxes. According to the report, the tax evasion was found during searches at the company offices in Rajasthan. Reports say the survey at Shree Cement offices is still on. The company, which is the third largest cement manufacturer in India, has refuted the evasion reports. All Adani Group stocks ended in the green, stock prices jumping by 0.7 to 5%, coming after Gautam Adani-led conglomerate said it was eyeing 90,000 crore rupees in EBITDA in the next 2 to 3 years. This would be a significant boost from the group's current EBITDA of around 50,000 crore rupees. The ports to energy conglomerate is expecting strong growth in sectors such as airports, cement, renewables, solar panels, transportation and logistics, as well as power and transmission. With equity markets entering a volatile phase, Udayan Mukherjee, India Today Group's global business editor, spoke to market guru Sankara Narain, ED and CIO at ICICI Prudential AMC. Here's an excerpt.
Despite the recent rally, returns have been sort of lukewarm for Indian equity investors, 10-11% kind of return over a 2-year period, which is a bit subpar. So are you confident that the next couple of years will make up for what has been a fairly pedestrian run for the last 24 months?
And actually, the returns that you've seen in Indian equity markets and in Indian small cap and mid caps have been about one of the best in the world at this point of time in the last 24 months. So while it may appear that the returns have been modest, I would say it is one of the best returns that you've got anywhere in the world. If you look at the future, I would say that, we are in a very structurally in a very good shape. And that geopolitically we are in a very good shape. And from a macroeconomic point of view also, we are in a very good shape. And but having said that, the challenge is that from a valuation perspective, we are one of the costliest markets in the world, and outside US, I would say we are one of the costliest markets at this point of time. So even going forward, it's tough to believe that you can get very big returns in the long run, in the medium run, I mean. But it is still India is one of the best markets to invest in for the long run. And because it's a very good structural story. But if the valuations were to become more reasonable, I think India would be a great market where you can get both good long-term returns and big long-term returns. Whereas today, because of valuation, it's difficult to predict very high returns at this point.
If you had to guess, and I know it's an impossible question to answer, but over the next 2 to 3 years, which we can classify as medium term, do you think the chances of Indian investors getting 10-11% kind of returns from equity are higher, or 50% plus kind of returns, which is essentially the desirable return for most Indian equity investors?
In late 90s, you could get 16 to 18% in many debt products. So at that point of time, I would say it was necessary for you to get 20% per annum to invest in equity.
Today, you're not getting that kind of return. So as long as you get better returns than an alternate asset class, I think it is fairly attractive. And having said that, there are so many geopolitical imponderables which none of us know. And what can hurt markets in the near term? Do we know? The answer is certainly not. Did anyone expect the Ukraine war? The answer is no. Did any of us know that this could be a problem in 2022? The answer is no. So I think we all think that we know what will happen to markets, but periodically certain things happen in markets which we can't predict, and that is the reason why systematic investment plans and asset allocation are the two best ways to invest for most people in the long run.
Speaking of autos, where are we in the auto cycle now, Naren? Because in your funds, you do own names like Maruti and TVS Motors, but autos give returns in fits and starts. I mean, 4 or 5 years, there'll be very anemic kind of returns, and then 4 or 5 years, you'll get a good cycle. Where are we now, you think?
No longer at the start, as an AMC, we did guess that auto was one of the most interesting sectors to invest in. But if you look at the kind of returns some of the auto stocks have delivered in the recent past, we are no longer at the start of an upcycle. We are already in the middle of the upcycle. And now you have to be much more stock specific in many of them because they have actually delivered a lot of returns. So you have to do much better work to ensure that you don't make a mistake at this point of time. And unlike a year or two back, when you had seen 5 years of bad returns in auto, now we've seen actually 1 to 2 years of very good returns in auto. Having said that, because the industry is actually going through a metamorphosis because of electric vehicles and all that, there are some companies which are doing extremely well and some companies which are not doing well. And that gives scope for us to do a lot of work as an active asset manager to bet on those companies which is doing much better work. And that gives us a lot of scope for us to do a lot of research and work on them.
What about IT, where there seems to be general pessimism, I would say? Valuations have corrected. Everybody believes that the near terms look very, very clouded for IT. Do you sense an opportunity, or have valuations not moderated enough for your liking?
I think it's one of the best contrarian opportunities, but we are grappling with what is the bottom for that contrarian opportunity. Because, that contrarian opportunity normally bottoms out when US goes into recession. So do we believe at some point of time US will go into recession? That's the question we have to ask. We ask most people, they say in the next 6 months to 9 months we'll have it. And at that point of time, maybe the time when you go into that bottom and you can invest aggressively. So till that point of time, a systematic investing into that sector would possibly be the best way forward. And maybe 6 months to 9 months down the line, maybe the best time for you to take a big contrarian investment into that. But the sector has already reached a stage where, as a contrarian, one has to start looking at what would be the best time to invest in the sector.
Infosys will buy Denmark-based Danske Bank's Information Technology Center in India. As part of a $454 million deal, the IT major will also help the bank accelerate its digital transformation initiatives with speed and scale for better customer experiences, operational excellence and a modernized technology landscape. BTTV's Akanksha Chaturvedi has more on this. Akanksha, what are some of the highlights of the deal? Take us through all of them.
Well, Infosys has won the mega deal of digitally transforming Danske Bank. It's a Nordic bank. This deal comes at a time when the Indian IT sector had been facing a lot of pressure, especially from the BFSI segment, ever since the beginning of the global banking crisis, which started somewhere in the beginning of this year. Let's talk about the details of this deal. This deal is of around $500 million. To be exact, it's of around $454 million. Moreover, apart from the money side of it, Infosys would also be gaining control of all the IT sectors of the bank which are in India. These IT centers employ around 1,400 people, and the bank is also going to be getting AI services from Infosys. This would be via their new product called Topaz.
Thanks for that. Now, the primary market back in action this week with over 1,500 crore rupees of IPOs hitting D Street. Idea Forge Technologies, Cyient DLM, PKH Ventures. These are three main board IPO investors need to watch. Idea Forge opened for subscription today. It's already subscribed 3.7 times. My colleague Sakshi Batra spoke to Raghavendra Singh to find out which IPO holds the best promise for you. Listen in.
So for all the investors, this IPO has opened for subscription today. Would you be bullish on this space? Would you recommend investors to take a plunge here?
Sakshi, definitely this is a very good company. They are into the aerospace. They are the leader in the aerospace technology. So I believe investors should invest this company. And the most important thing is the management is very keen to clear the debts. So they are coming in the IPO with at least they are planning to reduce their debt, and they are coming with a new product, and they are going for the more government contracts. So yes, this is a very good company. Investors should invest into this.
Okay, so investors can definitely look at subscribing. Would you advise investors to stay here for the long term, or should one really look at just listing gains and book the profits out?
I'm expecting the listing gain should be almost 20 to 30%. If you are a long-term investor, definitely you should hold this stock for the long term.
Okay, 20-30% kind of listing gains in case you're a short-term investor, but long-term investors can also continue to hold this space, this stock in their portfolios if they get the allotment of this stock too. Apart from this, let's also jump on to the next IPO, and that's Cyient DLM IPO that will open for subscription tomorrow. Now here again, the public issue is worth 592 crore rupees. And the bidding will be allowed till 30th of June. The company management has fixed the IPO price between 250 to 265 rupees per equity share. And over here also we've seen that the grey market premium is around 100 rupees odd or 110 rupees odd as well. But here again, remember that the key point here is that it's a complete, fresh issue of shares. So the entire money or the fund will be used by the company, for cutting its debt, for its working capital and expansion plans too. Cyient DLM, the subsidiary of Cyient, the tech major, getting listed, launching its IPO here. One lot comprises of 56 shares, and requirement for the IPO is 14,840 rupees, and that's one lot, and the maximum would be closer to 2 lakh rupees, and that is 13 lots will be allowed for per retail investor. Here, what would you say, Raghavendra? Does this IPO excite you?
Definitely, this is a very good company, and you name the industry, they are into this. They are into oil and gas, they are into defense, they are into railway, they are into semiconductor. They are everywhere in this industry, So this is a very good company. I'm expecting a good listing gain also, and the major part, I'm expecting, investor to hold this stock for the long term also.
Long term also. So what kind of listing gains do you expect here? And for the long term investors, what should be the kind of outlook one has?
I'm expecting around listing around 380, 400 level, and that is a very good level. If you are a short-term trader, definitely you should book your profit. But for the long term, you should this stock should be in your portfolio.
Okay, understood that. Let's actually look at the other one as well, PKH Ventures, that will open for subscription on June 30th. Here the price band has been fixed between 140 to 148 rupees. So ticket-wise, this is the cheaper one that is available for all the, investors right here. Your own thoughts on this company? Is this also a company that you'd be tracking?
This is a construction company. This is a Mumbai-based company. They are into hospitality. They are into constructions. They are into different avenues. Merely they are into the hospitality industry. Their revenue is not as per my expectation. So I'm not expecting very good listing gain in this stock. But yes, this is a stock which you should invest for the listing gain.
The Reserve Bank of India could soon start lowering interest rates, with real rates once again in positive territory and inflation expected to remain within RBI tolerance levels. The central bank governor has indicated that rates could start dipping again. In an interview to PTI, Shaktikanta Das also revealed that more than 70% of the 2,000 rupee notes in circulation had been returned, and that their return will have no impact on liquidity situation or the economy.
इसके बारे में मैं सिर्फ यही कहना चाहता हूं कि इंटरेस्ट रेट जो है वो इन्फ्लेशन के साथ साथ चलता है। आपका जब इन्फ्लेशन रेट काबू में आ जाएगा, ड्यूरेबली जो जिसको हम कह रहे हैं कि ड्यूरेबल मॉडरेशन इन इन्फ्लेशन, मतलब ड्यूरेबल हम जब ये सोच मान लेंगे कि अभी इंटरेस्ट रेट जो है वो 4% के आसपास रहेगा कंटिन्यूइंग बेसिस पे, तो अब इंटरेस्ट रेट कम होना कम हो सकता है। तो इसीलिए इन्फ्लेशन और इंटरेस्ट रेट दोनों को इकट्ठे एनालाइज करना चाहिए। आज का जो इन्फ्लेशन है वो 4.25% है और हमारा एस्टीमेट ये है कि इस साल जो एवरेज इन्फ्लेशन है इस साल मतलब 23-24 में जो एवरेज इन्फ्लेशन है, हमारा ये एस्टीमेट है कि वो 5.1 रहेगा। तो इसीलिए इन्फ्लेशन तो कम हुआ है। इन्फ्लेशन एक्सपेक्टेशन जिसको कहते हैं कंज्यूमर्स का और बिजनेसेस का, वो इन्फ्लेशन एक्सपेक्टेशन भी कम हो रहा है। इस साल का एवरेज 5.1, आगे जाके वो 5.1 को 4% तक लाने के लिए हम कोशिश करते रहेंगे। पिछले मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी के टाइम में तो मैंने कहा था 1,80,000, लेकिन वो स्टेडीली वापस आ रहे हैं नोट और 2/3 से ऊपर अभी हो गया है। हमने ये कहा था कि 3,62,000 3.62 लाख करोड़ 3,62,000 करोड़ 3,62,000 करोड़ रुपया 3,62 करोड़ रुपया 2,000 रुपया नोट सर्कुलेशन में था पिछले साल मार्च में। मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी में मैंने कहा कि 1,80,000 करोड़ के आसपास मैंने कहा था, वो वापस आ गया है। अभी जो है 2/3 मतलब अब आंकड़े लगा सकते हैं, उसके ऊपर उसको क्रॉस कर गया है। 2/3 अभी आ गए वापस। एक चीज मैं आपको बहुत साफ कह सकता हूं कि जो 2,000 रुपया का जो नोट अभी वापस ले रहे हैं, उसका इकोनॉमी के ऊपर कोई नेगेटिव इफेक्ट नहीं आएगा। चैलेंज ये रहेगा 2 या 3 चैलेंज। एक तो है इंटरनेशनल अनसर्टेनिटी, जो वॉर के कारण जो अनसर्टेनिटी मतलब इंटरनेशनली जो अभी अनसर्टेनिटी है, जियोपॉलिटिकल टेंशन जो कह रहे हैं जिसको, वो तो अभी कंटिन्यू कर रहा है, वो खत्म नहीं हुआ। उसका क्या फॉल आउट होगा, क्या स्पिल ओवर होगा बाकी देशों को, वो तो समय पे पता चलेगा कैसा वो इवॉल्व हो रहा है। बाकी जो अनसर्टेनिटी है वो एक तो है नॉर्मल मॉनसून है, लेकिन एक एल नीनो सिंड्रोम का जो है फोरकास्ट भी है। वो कितने हद तक एल नीनो सीवियर होता है उसको देखना पड़ेगा। और मेनली वेदर रिलेटेड इवेंट्स जिसका कि असर हमेशा वेजिटेबल प्राइसेस के ऊपर बहुत रहता है। तो ये सारे अनसर्टेनिटीज है और उसके साथ हमको डील करना पड़ेगा। अभी देखिए, हाल में हमने एक मीटिंग किया, सारे पब्लिक और प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक के जो डायरेक्टर्स हैं उनके साथ एक मीटिंग किया और उसमें भी बहुत विस्तृत रूप से हमने डिस्कस किया कि बैंकों का जो स्ट्रेंथ के लिए बैंकों को और कैसे मतलब आगे ले जाएंगे, उसके लिए क्या क्या स्टेप्स लेना जरूरी है, क्या क्या रिस्क्स है, साइबर सिक्योरिटी का रिस्क क्या है, उसके तरफ कैसे हम उसको हैंडल करेंगे, जो एसेट लायबिलिटी इश्यूज जिसके बारे में मैंने अभी जिक्र किया उसको कैसा मैनेज करना चाहिए, और बैंकों का रिस्क मैनेजमेंट उसमें और कैसे हमने उसको और ज्यादा एफिशिएंट कैसे कर सकते हैं। रिस्क मैनेजमेंट तो ठीक चल रहा है, अभी ठीक ठाक चल रहा है, लेकिन उसको और टाइटन कैसे कर सकते हैं। तो ये जो विस्तृत रूप में हम डिस्कस करते रह रहे हैं, मतलब आरबीआई की तरफ से ये जो एंगेजमेंट है बैंकों के साथ, वो तो चल ही रहा है और चलता रहेगा।
And that's how we leave it on the show tonight. Thanks for watching.